Hi, I'm Riley.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Ideal Podcast,
where we talk about the ideal and not so ideal moments going from girlhood to womanhood.
Hi guys.
Hi, welcome back.
We are back with another We're back with another episode, and today is a very special episode because
one of my really good friends, Aden Sternberg, is here.
Hey, howdy.
Hey guys, so before we get into the rest of the video, I just wanted to make a little video just giving some more background to who Aden is and why Riley and I decided to interview him. Riley and Aden grew up together. They went to the same high school, and then I was introduced to him once Riley and I became friends. Aden currently works in LA for a very famous director. You're gonna hear later how he got to where he's at with kind of no experience in a way. He didn't go to college for film or anything like that. Then here he is working for a very famous director, like I said. So his story is very encouraging. It's very inspiring, and I think we all can take something away from his story, because no matter where you're at in life, if you truly want something, you can make it happen. And so I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and let's get back into it.
So I've known Aden since we were in like 7th grade. We went to grade school together and we ventured high school together, graduated. He moved to LA before I did, and now we are here together.
Yeah. And then I was just kind of introduced at some point. I don't remember when.
Yeah.
So Aden, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing in California?
So I'm from Tennessee. Moved to LA back in 22, something like that. And for film, obviously. I think if it wasn't for film, I would probably still be in Tennessee. I'm a writer-director, struggling, I might add. And that's what I love, and that's what I do. Feel like I'm called to storytelling.
So tell us kind of when you knew, how you knew you wanted to be in film.
Yeah, I think I knew at a very young age. Growing up, I loved films. That was a lot of me and my family. That was the way we'd spend time together, just sit on the couch and rent like a Red Box. If you guys remember Red Box, I think now it's gone. But we'd rent a Red Box, and then like our big evenings out would be like to the theater. I love the theater. And I think I remember telling my parents, when people would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would always say an archaeologist, right? Well, little did I know as a 6-7-year-old that archaeology is definitely not Indiana Jones and running from boulders and swinging from vines.
Would be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you've had some of those experiences, though.
We'll need a story. Yeah,
that is true. We can get to that. Archaeology, I thought, was Indiana Jones, right? And so I put myself in this character and really wanted to be this character. Well, then flash forward a couple years, people would ask what I want to be. And I said, I want to, sports, like sports is my identity, which was obviously from Remember the Titans, Moneyball, Sandlot, all these great sports movies. And so sports kind of became my identity. And so it wasn't really until kind of the end of my middle school years, I had a bad sports injury, kind of had this, realization that these jobs and these kind of quote unquote dreams that I was chasing, all just led back from these characters that I really, really enjoyed on screen. Once I really kind of figured that out, it became just an obsession of trying to figure out, how to do this for myself. So I began doing this stupid little YouTube, like
oh
vlog.
My gosh, yes, it was it was like David Dobrik style.
Yeah, as much as I hate those videos and as dumb as they are, I owe a lot to them, just because, that was my experimentation with using a camera. And, after the first couple of times, I think a lot of my friends, Riley included, probably started to get annoyed with me because, I started to see that director kind of come out and position people how I wanted them and said, oh, no, do that 4 more times, but this way.
Well, and we saw such a huge part of that senior year when we filmed Legally Blonde, the musical. And you were student director of photography, and we got to do that together. So that was fun when we did that whole scene together where I blocked it, choreographed it, and then you filmed it. And we kind of like did that whole
Yeah.
thing together. That was cool because that
Yeah.
was very director oriented.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the first, I mean, that was the first bigger scale set that, that I kind of had some charge of, which was just, I mean, an invaluable experience. Film became, an obsession. Eyes on the prize, all eyes forward. I didn't go to college. I just didn't feel like film school was for me. You know, and maybe that's an ego issue and an authority issue of, you know, me just kind of wanting to do it my own way. But I thought, you know, hey, I've got these stories that I want to tell. Why do I need to kind of backtrack 4 years when, you know, I'm a very kind of just do it person?
So speaking of moving to LA, what was that transition from like graduating from high school to coming out here? How did you end up here the second that you graduated?
Yeah. Whoa. That's a long story. I'll keep it shorter for time purposes. But so I graduated high school, and then my big thing is travel. I'm a huge traveler, and I had a mentor who kind of told me that experiences are super grand when you're a writer, and that he prefers that, you know, people that he works with that are writers to have those life experiences. My senior year, I think it was, a high school, I decided that when I graduated, because I wasn't going to college, I decided that I was going to build out. I had a 1996 Jeep Cherokee. I was going to build it out, and I was just going to travel the country and go do whatever. So we built out this Jeep, and I just head west. And so I had picked, you know, I wanted some sort of destination where I'd spend time. And so I picked Montana. But nonetheless, I worked as a lumberjack and kind of was able to pursue my own fishing expeditions. Ran into some bears and picked huckleberries and sold them to the local market. And that's how I kind of made a living.
No, wait. What was the most amount of money you made from that?
Oh gosh, I think so. $9 a pound. I think there was one day I did 5 or 6 pounds in
No
like a
way.
day, which would have been what, like 30, $40, something like that. It was a blast. It was a blast. I miss it. I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it. And then I am kind of in this weird place where I'm trying to figure out how to make it in this business as this like small town southern kid. You know, I'd research day after day after day after day on, you know, how to enter into this business, and you send cold emails and, you know, random things with zero responses, especially in today's climate. But I get a couple different job offers for me to be able to kind of be more financially stable on the move out here, kind of doing some remote work. I'm very religious, so I, you know, prayed about it a lot and kind of, you know, talked to a lot of my mentors and friends and got advice from different folks. And so ultimately that decision, you know, was, hey, let's move to LA. And so, you know, once again, you know, my poor mother's heart.
Oh my goodness.
Once again, you know, packed up my Jeep and headed west, and that's that.
So I guess when you moved to LA and you started on your film journey, did you experience judgment from people, hate from people, and then on the flip side, um, were people more apt to take advantage of you when you kind of got your foot in the door?
It's funny because like I don't am like not in a place to be able to like have people take advantage of me almost. Like I'm very like low scale struggling writer director, right? And like I've not quote unquote made it. But I think there is a sense like especially with this like weird film culture, and I don't think it's necessarily people's fault. You know, when one person kind of gets like a foot in the door, just you know, a herd of people kind of attracts to that small grain of rice of success, you know. But I'm very open to all that. I love, number one, like if there's a way I can help, not that I can do much, but if there's a way I can help, I always love helping. College students approach me and, you know, kind of need some guidance or somebody to look over a script. I'm always happy, you know, to do anything like that. My high school like invited me back a while ago to kind of talk about the same thing and like kind of, you know, how I broke into the industry to a small extent, and you know, kind of where to even start for those kind of small town Southern kids.
I would like you to say a little bit more about how you got the job that you have now, and kind of not being like lucky, but just like this one in a lifetime opportunity that you just like sold yourself.
Let's see. So I moved to LA, and I did not want to sleep in the car anymore, which was definitely a wise decision, I think. But with that, like, I kind of moved out here blind and didn't know a soul, and so for the first month here, I lived in like just an Airbnb, rented like an Airbnb for a month, lived in that, and then like, was couch surfing and blah blah blah. So it really took me, I think, I was very gracious enough that it only took me about a month and a half to kind of get a small foot in the door. So my number one thing when moving here was I have to know people. When you're self-assessed, like I think that is one of my skills is I enjoy people and I enjoy having conversation. So in my mind, right, if I can just meet the right person, then I can get a foot in the door, or whatever that looks like, and shadow or whatever. So I would have coffee with absolutely everybody. I didn't care who it was. I didn't care if it was the garbage man on the corner. I didn't care if it was, a barista at a coffee shop. One guy in particular, phenomenal guy. And he's like, dude, I know how that feels to kind of be new here and kind of trying to look for that foot in the door. Let me text some of my friends and see if we can't find you something. And so I wake up one morning with just a super random text from a random number. And it was 2 emails. This guy just tells me, send your resume in, and I don't even know if they're hiring, but just kind of see what happens. A couple days to a week goes by, and then one of these random emails, responds in my inbox. The first thing, obviously, you're going to do is probably try to research the little company a little more. So I click on the website, and I'm looking through it a little bit more, and kind of realize that this happens to be one of my favorite filmmakers and directors of all time, and that I have a chance to kind of interview with his company.
That's crazy.
The next day, I hop on a Zoom and I'm just kind of pitching myself, and like you got to remember too, like I didn't go to college, I didn't have a degree. Literally, I think the only thing I had on my resume was some like stupid little play that I did in high school.
Hey, Legally Blonde was not stupid.
It was not stupid. It was not. I take that back. It was not stupid. It was great. But like my resume was a little embarrassing to myself at least. So I think kind of the person interviewing me was like, why should we hire you? And I was like, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm going to work harder than anybody you got working, and something along. That's how I remember it in my head, at least. But the way I remember it is I said something really, really cool, and had this awesome line of dialogue, and they hired me immediately. But no. So the same company had kind of called back and was like, hey, we need somebody to start, and do you want the job? And I was like, of course, absolutely. I think I had a job interview the next day, and so I originally said like, oh, can I have like 24 hours to think about it? And then it was off. And I remember like hanging up that phone, and I was like, what in the world did you just do? Why did you just tell this company you want to work for this company? Why did you just tell them you need 24 hours to think?
I mean, obviously working for such a famous director comes with a lot of good things, but would you say there's challenges?
I think one of the only challenges really, like you're watching movies of like your favorite filmmakers, whoever that is, and kind of this internal dialogue of like, man, can I ever be as good as that? And like I feel like half of it is having that confidence to say, yes, I do, and like I'm meant to make movies. And I think like directing and writing and directing and all these things, at least what I've learned is you have to 110% know that is what you're meant to do, and that is what your passion is, and your purpose. And so so I think it's just more of an internal challenge, and each director has their own style and tone, and like trying to figure out what that is, and I think differentiating yourself from your favorite directors and those you love, and kind of making yourself different from them, right? And I do this still, is like mimic my favorite filmmakers, which is like not necessarily the best thing, right? Like you want to have a very unique style and tone. And so I think my constant struggle is where is my voice in this kind of film industry.
What was the best advice you received related to building a career in film and all of that? Because you were saying, obviously, you met with so many different people. Does a certain advice you were given really stand out that brought you to where you are now?
I think so this is what's funny. I was actually thinking about this earlier, is when you kind of talk to a lot of creative minds, right? And even if it's just random people on the street. So I think everybody has their own idea of what you should do. What's funny is like this business is such a just wild model, and it's like constantly changing and progressing and degressing, and you kind of to an extent have to just like blaze your own path and give yourself advice.
Well, it's probably one of those things where you just jump in it and figure it out as you go, or would you say that advice is necessary and it's important to be hearing from people in that space?
I think yes. When you are able to ask for advice, one, hopefully you'll learn something, and two, I think out of that, whoever you're meeting with comes just a connection. And I think like this business really is such a people business. So yes, I think absolutely people should be meeting with people and asking for advice.
So, do you think that success will change you, and how do you anticipate staying grounded at that point?
Well, I hope not. I hope. I'd like
He
to
says
say
yes. Success will change me.
No, Lord, I hope not. Which that all relies on the fact that I have to make it first. And
I think you're a quarter of the way there.
Lord, I hope so.
I mean, you definitely made it further than most people.
Yeah.
Who are just starting out.
It's funny how kind of dreams change to an extent. Living back home, it was always kind of dream of this like flashy Hollywood life, and you're making movies and at discos, and discos aren't even a thing anymore, which is a bummer.
Did.
But I think moving out here, it's really funny how much I actually miss the South and like miss my home.
I attest to that for sure.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I miss the South too, even though I've never been there before.
One day you need to get over there.
Yeah.
But it's funny just how much I miss it.
Which I feel like your mindset about it is so good because it shows that you're truly passionate about film and you're not there to just get the fame, and like get your name out there, but you genuinely care about the art itself. Yeah. And I think that's awesome.
I think part of it too is so many people that want to pursue something like this, and just specifically in this industry and just kind of like an LA life, it's very quick. Like they want it to happen tomorrow or in a week or in a month. Just the fact that you are in it for the long haul, like you couch surfed, you slept in your car, you applied to so many jobs, like you came out here.
Yeah.
Like you did so many things to be here and are continuing to do so, just proves that you're not here just to make money fast or to become famous or successful fast.
I think that's the thing too, is like this is probably just more my own opinion, but I think it's like if you're in storytelling business for the money and like the fame, then chances are like this is probably not going to come. Right.
So you talked a little bit about your faith. Do you think you're going to somehow implement that into your films or just anything that you pursue in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely. I think, my faith is such a huge part of my life and has gotten me through so many different hard times and things like that. And so I think with storytelling and filmmaking in particular, it's such a personal art form. And I mean, all our art is very personal and emotional. And so I think that because those emotions have been so heavily dependent upon religion and God. It's there's no other choice for me to not add that into my stories. And so yes, absolutely. There's a lot of projects that I have in mind, but for the future, because I don't think that I'm quite wise enough yet to be able to tell those stories with the correct theologies and emotion that I want to come across.
And kind of on the same note, have you seen ways that faith has helped you in this journey, like in the past few years that you've started all of this?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost is God has picked me up off of the ground, and out of a car, and just sent me to some wild places. And I think, I feel like God has told me that my purpose is storytelling. Through that, one thing that we do as believers is, hey, kind of, let the Lord take the reins and use me in a way that, one, glorifies Him, and two, that kind of shows love to other people, right? And so for me, have such a natural attraction to storytelling, and I think everybody can agree that the Bible is a phenomenal story, and even just the structure of how that story is told is just superior. Yeah, it's true. Just wise, and
especially when it's not always fruitful, at least in that present moment. It's hard to think like, why? Why do you want me to hold it?
Yeah.
Like, why am I here? Because I saw something the other day that basically was saying how God wouldn't put that drive in your heart if it wasn't for your purpose. So I like that.
God has sent me to some wild places and given me some wild stories and those experiences. And I love sharing stories. I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if I didn't like, telling stories and didn't like people. And so God has, one, given me such a just natural love for that. So hopefully, I can honor Him in some way by completing that purpose that He's given me of kind of storytelling and filmmaking and kind of making these audiences feel something and whatever that emotion may be.
We will absolutely have to have you back again to talk about some of the absolutely insane stories that you have.
Yeah.
But thank you for being
Oh my gosh, yeah.
our first ever guest.
I'm honored.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's so much that people can take out or take from what you shared, and one thing is to not give up. Like, I feel like your story is so cool where you were so consistent, and I think that's something that so many people can learn from.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for having me.
So
This is
cool.
a great podcast. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks.
So hopefully things work out for y'all as well. And, y'all are doing great things. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I'm honored to be the first one.
Well, thanks for listening.
Bye.